Mr. Sales.
How's it going, Earl?
All right.
I figured you this earlier when you came by.
Oh, that's the,
The kit to keep your
Okay.
backpack.
yeah, we sure. You have a package for tonight? Or you got it online? You got it?
I'm on the online,
Okay.
I have the agenda.
Okay, back to you about, your check situation. Okay. The reason why it changed is because you get your 6,000, so it's taxed at a different amount once you get 6,000 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Okay. Okay.
So we can actually give you the gift card now for the second meeting, now that you are now under.
Okay.
So you can get 2 gift cards at redevelopment going forward. And then next year,
Okay.
once the tax changes again, you can start picking it up again. But at the beginning of next year, you'll go back to just getting one. Halfway through, you'll start getting the second one around the same time.
So the next meeting we have, I will get. I didn't get one. I missed the meeting this past Thursday. So next.
This Thursday, we're going to do a special meeting on Thursday.
Okay. On Wednesday.
No, this Thursday, next Wednesday,
Okay. This Thursday and
and then next Wednesday.
the next. Okay. 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 Cool.
Trying to count the commissioners.
So how you been on?
I've been doing pretty good. Have you a piece of paper? I forgot to do a sign-in sheet. Got a pen, please?
I get terrible out here. It's not gonna be pretty, but it's. Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Tuesdays are hard. I got back, I had a meeting end early and managed to get back from Richmond 30 minutes ago, but still fast.
Did they have you back in the office full time?
No, I go 2 days a week. I go Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So there's a cushion in this seat. I'll put it in. Wes said 6:05. He'll be here.
The other gentleman, with the glasses, I was heading here. He seen me. He said, "Commissioner Hicks, I'll be there."
Oh, okay. Michael?
Yeah.
Javier.
Yeah. He was going down. I don't know where he was going, but he was going down. I was
Gotcha.
coming up. So he seen me. He told me, he said he'll be here.
Got it, okay. John, I assume y'all didn't install any glass today.
No, let me check. I spoke with Robert.
I didn't think about it until I saw you. But I doubt anybody went out there anyway.
Plexiglass installed today. Yeah, the plexiglass installed today. Tomorrow morning. What time? Okay, all right. 11 o'clock is the way. All right, we should go. All right.
It'll be about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. No problem. I doubt anybody's gonna go out in the rain and do anything, but. Alright. Looks like a quorum. We'll give Wes another minute. Nice. I'm not telling anybody that will listen to me. I should probably stop there. Then you won't be able
Yeah,
to
I
when
like
run back.
the paint colors were good.
Yeah, he came back last week. He's like, your faucet's so cool.
He does really like that faucet. He showed it to me like 3 times.
So he wants you to have that faucet too. You
I
do can
guess
have
so.
it from the Kohler website. All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Who's doing roll call? Is it Miss Carrie on the
Yeah,
Zoom?
Maria's gonna do roll call.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, Commissioner Hicks,
Oh, here.
Commissioner Wicks,
Here.
Commissioner Goldblatt,
Here.
Commissioner Payne,
Here.
Commissioner Rodales,
Here.
Commissioner Bellamy.
He's not quite here yet.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, let's take a moment of silence. Okay. Just some general reminders. The next, I feel like we're missing something. But the next board work session will be Thursday, June 13th, and then the next regular board meeting will be Monday, June 23rd. We have the redevelopment committee meeting every first Thursday from 3 to 4. The CRHA admin meeting, redevelopment meeting every third Thursday, safety committee every second Wednesday at noon, and resident services every second Tuesday.
Do we mean for the next board work session? Do we? Yeah, it's the 12th.
Okay, I was like, something
Yeah,
seems
yeah, that's
wrong.
right.
What's wrong? Like I was trapped, paralyzed. Thank you. I knew there was something off. Okay, are there any, well, so I'll open it up for public comment. Okay, and any FAR comments? Okay. Any updates from commissioners?
No. No.
All right, great. Okay, next is approval of the board minutes from 4/28.
I move to approve the minutes from April 28th, 2025.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Carey, can we get a call?
Commissioner Wicks,
Yes?
Commissioner Hicks,
Here.
Commissioner Goldblatt,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodales,
Yes.
Commissioner Payne.
And abstain just because I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Bellamy.
He's still not here.
Okay.
Okay, next up is the FSS policy change.
Okay, and I will be presenting this item. Good evening,
Good
Commissioners.
evening.
Good evening.
So this item right here is, it's not we're not asking you guys to approve anything, but we're putting it in you guys' minds to start thinking about this change that we're proposing. It's gonna be one of maybe a few different changes, and we'll bring those up once they're finalized. But this initial change will allow us to start utilizing the funds in the escrow program that the participants have contributed to. So right now, currently, if an individual is enrolled in the program, they could be contributing escrow funds. In some cases, we have some residents that are, but they're also at risk of eviction because they've missed rent payments. But they have these escrow funds. We currently don't have in our plan that we can access the escrow funds to pay off the funds that are owed to the housing authority. So in the case that we currently have, the family would be evicted. Those funds would then come to the housing authority anyway to then reuse on the program. So what we will be asking you guys is to allow us to put in our plan that we can utilize those funds so to keep residents housed instead of processing eviction and then the funds coming to the housing authority anyway.
Can I just ask, let's imagine that someone, what's the policy right now, that what happens if someone is putting funds into escrow, gets behind on rent, says, I don't want to use what I have escrowed to pay back rent, and then is evicted? Do they get what they've escrowed back?
No, the money, because you only get the money if you graduate from the program. So if you get evicted or you drop out of the program, the money stays with the housing authority. We can then reuse that money in the program. Before this second iteration that we're in now, you could the housing authority would keep the money because technically it's rent that would have come to the housing authority if they weren't in the FSS program. And so the housing authority would keep the money and it would go to the operating account. The way it's currently written in the program is the money, and we're not asking for this to change, it would stay in the program. And so the FSS coordinator could use it to, like, for a participant to go address transportation needs or address other program barrier needs that a participant has that's in the program.
So I just want to be clear. So under all circumstances, we're saying that if a participant leaves the program, the money stays in the housing authority. But what we're saying now is that those funds could only be used as part of the FSS program as opposed to like wherever someone decides to allocate them.
No, that's what the federal regulations say, period. What we're
Okay.
asking for you guys to give us authorization to do is like, so we have a tenant, let's say we have a tenant that's on verge of eviction. They owe us $500. But let's say they have $1,000 in escrow money. Technically, you can't touch the escrow money until you've completed the program.
I see.
You can give exceptions. We could give exceptions inside of the policy to tap into those funds to keep their family housed. And so we can't do that without this policy change.
I see. So now you're just saying, can we have permission if it's okay with the renter to tap into their escrow?
Correct, to keep them housed.
Got it.
Did you have anything to add to that, Kathleen?
Yeah, you can't use escrow to pay rent, but what you can do, what we're talking about also is that, it's made really clear that, if you are not paying rent, you're not escrowing at that time. Because no funds are going in, as well as, if it's being paid by another source, you won't be able to escrow at that time. But it's really specific that you can't use escrow to pay rent, but you can use it to remove other barriers if you're meeting goals at the time, such as your car breaks down, you need to fix your car. But if someone does drop out of the program they choose to, various reasons, and the funds are forfeited, as John was just referring to, the federal regulations for FSS say that it can only be used by that program.
Okay, so then based on what you're saying, let's say there's someone who falls behind on rent and they say, part of the problem is that I have this big car repair and I haven't been able to pay it. So I can't get to work. It means it's hard for me to pay rent. They can't use what's escrowed to pay back rent, but what they could do is pull from that escrow account to get their car fixed so that then they could get back to work and be able to pay rent again. Is that right? And stay housed and stay in the program.
It's part of their goals and of what they're working towards, and that they could definitely look at doing that.
So could we advise participants in this program about the various kinds of things they might want to include in their goals, like job stability, to make them flexible enough so that if somebody like staying healthy, it's like things that will be flexible enough so that if somebody says, and maybe the lawyer might want to weigh in if like it can't be, if it has to be very specific, but would let them, if something, I think the thing we're dealing with is unexpected setbacks that would allow them to have goals that help them to cover those unexpected setbacks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
other comments, questions on that? I think that makes sense. I think it's good. Look forward to seeing more. Okay.
So we'll be on agenda for the next meeting?
I don't know if we're going to make the next meeting. It may be the July meeting. So the next thing that we're going to do after we finalize the policy changes, we'll post it for public comments for 30 days. We'll wait to get public comments, then we'll bring it back to you guys for final approval.
So
So it'll be July.
So while we're doing
Thank
that, would it be possible, I mean, I'm sure you're already doing this, but just, it would be helpful for me to hear a little bit from the lawyer about, like, what is it, how specific do these goals have to be in terms of the FSS plan, so that we can think about, like, how flexible we can make them? Because again, I think as much as we can say, like, we're giving people some cushioning for the unexpected things, like, I don't think anyone says, like, I'm expecting that I'll no longer have transportation to work. So, like, giving them some flexibility there would be great, if it's legally possible to do so.
Yeah, and we allow folks to modify their goals. And so this is a working program. We're working with the participants to make sure that the goals best meet them. It's multi-year program, so folks' goals change. And so we allow that flexibility.
Right.
Any other comments, questions?
No.
Commissioner Hicks says no, so. Security discussion at South First Street.
Yes, so spring has started, but it feels like summer some days outside with the amount of activity we're getting, residents, especially at our larger sites. And so we have moved forward with security at South First Street. In 2000, when I got here, there was security at West Haven, 6th Street, Crescent Halls, and South First Street. But it was on a rotating basis. It was the same security going to 3 multifamily sites, so they were spending maybe 20 minutes on the site, and so it wasn't effective. And so we immediately cut it, plus CRJ couldn't afford it. We always said, once redevelopment is done, we'll come back and we'll revisit this conversation because it puts the properties at a different financial perspective after redevelopment, because you're bringing in tax credit rents and voucher rents, which are in some cases 10 times as high as what we get on a typical public housing unit. And so it puts you at a place where you can afford these additional services. And so we have entered an agreement with Millennium Security to provide security services every day of the week from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. That schedule may change depending on the activity on the sites. If we find their activity starts to grow, once security leaves, then we'll adjust their window.
So is it 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 6
p.m. to 3 a.m.
Okay.
My last staff person leaves around 5:30, depending on if we have a program or not. And then Parks and Rec is in the building until about 6 or 6:30. And so we'll almost have complete coverage except between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. when my first staff person gets in that office. We would like to do this at all the sites, but all the sites cannot afford it. They all have activity and concerns. We hear it at the safety committee meetings. We hear it at every other meeting, redevelopment. One of the big things that folks talk about is safety. We hear it at the resident service committee meetings. And so this is one way we're looking to address that. This is going to be a trial basis. We've entered to an agreement between 3 months and 4 months for the service. And we will be meeting with them, I think, twice. Every 2 weeks is when we're supposed to be meeting with the security firm to go over the different activities that are happening on site. But they provide a daily report to let us know everything that's happening. They also they have barcodes assigned to different areas on the site where they go and scan them, so they're making patrols around. They started on Friday, so just in time for Memorial Day weekend, 3-day weekend. I will say Friday was probably the quietest it has been in a very long time. And so I think it's working. I reached out to a resident on Saturday to check in with her to see how things went. She was really happy about the level of engagement with the security firm, and she felt like folks left the site that weren't supposed to be there. The security firm has a copy of the individuals that are barred on the site, and they also have the authority to bar folks on the site. And we also had a meeting, this is in conjunction with this, but we had a meeting with Captain Newberry with the police department. So we're going to be meeting with them to make sure that we're staying up to date on what's happening on the site when we're not there, and then what's happening when we are there, because oftentimes we don't know when the police are on the site except for when a resident tells us, and sometimes it's days after it's happened.
Quick question just on South First Street in general. I guess it was a week ago I was over there, and I don't know her name, but the lady that was staffed in the office was saying that there'd been some trouble with people coming in the community room and making a big mess and taking stuff. Is that, and she said y'all were taking some steps. I just wondered if that has kind of gotten under control.
Well, yes, but we still have some more things. This will certainly help it, but we need to figure out more around programming. And so we are short a resident service coordinator over at South First Street.
Gotcha.
That would typically be there a little bit later in the day. And we're looking at hiring a resident from that site to actually work in the community center on the off hours. So after we've left, and they're going to be working with programming and also making sure that the community center gets put back together the way it was. There's some weird arrangements where we have to have the tables for the fire department for safety. And so oftentimes it does not get put back when someone rents the center. And so they'll be in charge of making sure that gets rearranged as well. And so we're looking to work on that. And this will give a resident a part-time job with that as well.
So I have a couple of follow-up questions too. So the first is the easy one. I'm sure like nobody here feels great about the idea that private security would have unilateral ability to decide who gets to be barred. So what's the process if security needs to bar someone? Like what does it look like if they say this is someone we need to bar?
So security can place a barment, and then the individual has the ability to come to me to be unbarred. The barments aren't permanent barments.
Okay.
They depend on the severity of the issue. And so they can range from a year, 5 years, 10 years, but it really depends on the severity. And everyone has the ability to come back to actually be unbarred. I mean, we've unbarred someone that was barred for just a few months. So it's really a point, hey, we need to make sure this behavior isn't happening on the site again. Yes, we understand you have family members on the site, so you need to come here, but you have to come here and you have to be a good visitor. Yeah.
Does security have like a list of criteria? Because I think there's probably a difference between like this isn't great behavior and I'm going to tell you to stop, and like this is behavior that means you're being barred. Like I'm just wondering about like communication there. Do people understand like if you do this you will be barred?
Yeah, so we have a barment policy. I can send that to you guys that talks about some of the incidents, and then also we hold folks to the same accountability we hold the residents to on the lease. So some of the same activities that residents can't do is what we hold the tenants to. But I can get you a list.
Cool. I guess actually, does security have the ability to bar somebody, or can they just recommend?
Security actually has the ability to
Okay.
bar. And they've always had that ability, even in 2020 when they were working at all the different sites together. They had the ability to bar, because we do have the option for folks to appeal that barment.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I had one other question. So I know that there's like a lot of national data about when when it's most likely that various kinds of crimes will occur, and there's even I think like some citywide data. Does the police department keep data that's granular enough to know like site by site or neighborhood by neighborhood? Because I know we'll get some data over the next few months about like are there these big gaps, but it might help us to think if we knew from the police department like I think that actually like it's like something like between the hours of 4 and 5 a.m. is like the time nationally speaking, but I don't know that holds, and it might depend on the season too. Like it might be seasonal that in different seasons we see different things, but that might be helpful in deciding like in addition to whatever we're hearing from residents and from security, it might be helpful to say like we do or do not need additional coverage.
I can reach out to Chief Kochis about that. I know they're working to make sure that they can provide a lot of this data.
Great.
In a granular level. I will say the reason we picked our time frame was based upon the level of activity So when we leave at 5 o'clock, oftentimes at 5 o'clock, that activity has already
Okay.
picked up. And we have gotten complaints from neighbors, not even just in our neighborhood, not in South First Street, but on Hartman's Mill, about the level of noise coming from our site at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And oftentimes, if there's a shooting, you can play back the video and you'll see the level of activity.
Okay, so 3 or 4 is busy.
Anywhere from, Wes, you can give us an update on anywhere from 6 to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's busy. Typically, it was not like that this weekend, though.
That's
And
good.
when we started doing a lot of enforcement last year, it pushed folks from our community to the sidewalk, like the street sidewalk. So we couldn't do anything about it, but then I think the city got involved because they were like playing cornhole, loud music, a lot of stuff happening on the public sidewalk at like 2 a.m.
No cornhole at 2
No
a.m.?
cornhole, no
Okay.
cornhole.
I mean, I think that's one of the, for the record, I'm not out there at 2 and 3 in the morning.
We know you are, Wes.
Occasionally, but allegedly. Yes, baby, just 1 second. I think one of the issues is that the cornhole is very, very popular at South First Street. Very popular. And late night cornhole is a very interactive game that's played at that particular location. And then, yeah, the residents have gotten wise and they just go on the public street. So I don't quite know what we're supposed to do in terms of keeping it quiet, but I do think this, having the security over there is a step in the right direction.
It
I
does
personally
seem
think that.
too like there's an opportunity for the city to think about this. Like I actually, as a citizen, think like if people, I mean, I don't want to play cornhole between the hours of 2 and 4 in the morning, but if people want to, like, more power to them. It would be great if there were the problem with, I think, this city and so many others is that all leisure sites are monetized. Like there's no place you can go that's free to just hang out. Unless you have like a home that can host, and we're saying now like we don't necessarily want people hosting this on our sites. So like, you know, something to think about with like city surpluses, like what does it look like to have a 24-hour site that like people can just hang out in? I realize there's a lot of costs associated with that, but like something that lets people say like, I would like to hang out with my friends and play cornhole until 4 in the morning, but I don't want to have to spend money to
I mean,
do
I
so.
actually think, yeah, like if you're just playing cornhole and hanging out, like
Yeah, the thing
we
is
should
that
be able to encourage that. That's a positive
yeah,
activity.
It's not just cornhole.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if
Let
it
me
was
be an
only-
idealist
if-
and
yeah,
imagine
if
it's
it was-
just cornhole.
I
Laura
know,
and
but
I
I
are
was
envisioning an
envisioning
utopia with late night cornhole.
No, I mean, yeah, if it was only cornhole, you know, I think that would be cool. Hey, I might even come over, but it's not just cornhole going on. It's a lot of extracurricular activities, which I can see why we need security.
All right. Well, Laura and I think it's a wholesome.
I love you and Laura's optimism, internal shining brightness about all things in the city. I do appreciate that. I miss that. Yeah. So yeah.
On that note, anything else
On that
with
note.
security at South First Street?
No, I will say we are looking at this at other sites, but right now we're not in a position to do it.
Can we cross subsidize between sites? Is that, no? Shoot. Okay.
Not when like South First Street and 6th Street were under the same AMP, you could. But now that South First Street is its own tax credit property,
Okay.
that has, like, those funds have to stay there, Crescent
Okay.
Halls funds have to stay there. So Crescent Halls has had security for, I think, maybe going on a year now. We got to the point where it's like, okay, there's plenty of money there, we need to do something. And so that's why we pulled the trigger at South First Street. TC?
TC, we see your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so I would say that probably none of the public housing could probably ever afford that type of security, or I don't see that ever not happening, at least in the next 4 years. So yeah, the tax credit sites are probably the only ones that could afford that.
Come on, TC, you have to kill it
Oh, no,
already.
raised there.
West Haven may in the future. if we keep transferring operating money at the level we do, if we may be able to, it will probably need some city support. But it won't nearly have the level that South Richard has. I think that's slated to cost us about $250 million a year.
Wow.
Another very optimistic statement made.
I mean, like, if you cut it in half, you could afford it. But
Okay.
will it be efficient is the question. And that's why we pulled the service last time. It just wasn't efficient. It wasn't effective at all. Rotating to 3 different sites every 20 minutes just doesn't
Yeah,
work.
that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And then they would just be there basically as observers, really. Like if there was a shots fired incident or something, they would just call the police, wait for the police to come. So it sounds like for evaluation of whether this is effective, you'll be relying on the resident safety committee in terms of just trying to hear from residents whether their presence is making any difference or not.
Yeah, we're going to depend a lot on the residents and also just the level of activity we see on the sites. Like, we know what the numbers were last year. We were averaging 30 to 40 people outside late at night up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like in several of the videos we get shooting requests for, you look at the number of folks outside, it's an insane amount. And they're not residents, because as soon as the shooting happens, they all jump in their vehicles and leave the site. They don't run into their apartments. They jump to their vehicles and leave. And so it is not the folks that live at the site. A couple of folks that live at the site may be encouraging some of the activity, but those aren't the folks that are standing outside. It's mainly guests.
Okay. I think we
Would,
can button that. Oh, sorry.
Would the commission be able to just get a report at the end of the 3-4 months?
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. All right. Housing director update.
Good evening, commissioners and attendees. Just a few things that we wanted to highlight tonight. Just starting with, we realized that there doesn't seem to be a lot of movement with move-ins. However, we have done quite a few move-ins. But we also have had some people move out, and we've had a few that fell under eviction. So we are doing move-ins. We do have some movement with that. We had a strategy meeting for marketing today, and so I just wanted to mention that we are happy to say that 2 team members have completed their occupancy specialist for public housing, in an effort to improve team members' working knowledge and overall improve operations. Kathleen and I will be presenting the EDP program and how that's progressing at the next work session. And so that will have some more details on evictions and lack thereof due to the referral program that has been implemented. And I think, and we also wanted to highlight that we were able in the last 30 days to get $16,223 to keep families in place and not have to move forward with the evictions for rent owed.
Thank you, that's
we hope
awesome.
to combat, and again, we hope to combat that with the EDP. Did someone say something?
I just said that's great, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think that's all we have tonight. Are there any questions?
My only question is, I'm just looking at the numbers on the property management. Almost 1,500 people waiting for a 1-bedroom on the public housing list. Like, is that something we're eyeing? Like, that's a lot of people looking for a 1-bedroom.
So there's a lot of
Yes.
problems with that. It's hard to build 1-bedrooms in the tax credit program.
Yeah.
Because there's a cap. And once you go over that cap, then you get penalized for building more 1-bedroom units. They really look to build family-sized units with the tax credit program, and so we're really stuck at like the 10% rule when it comes to the 1-bedroom units. We are looking to see how we can change our model to assist folks, not even just at the 1-bedroom, like that need 1-bedroom units, but at the just need a bedroom. like the Cavalier Crossings model for folks who are just renting by the bedroom. And so we're looking at which of our properties are best suited for that, and then making sure that we have the staff levels needed for that type of renting. Because I think at one of the properties we looked at, we saw that we could probably do about 20 within one block, be able to rent about 20 bedrooms.
Okay.
So instead of renting 4 units, we have 20 bedrooms to rent instead. And so we are looking at that, but unfortunately, that 1 bedroom list will always be really large because we will never be able to build enough 1 bedroom units. And the market just doesn't produce them because the rents are lower on them.
And connected to that, the city's affordable housing strategy acknowledges that while there's a huge need for families, 1-bedrooms are in terms of raw numbers, the biggest unmet need for affordable housing. So it's definitely part of the city's strategy and aware of it. But as we said, there's a lot of kind of structural challenges for the market to produce it or LIHTC to get there. But.
And another thing to add on with the marketing, I think within the last couple of years, it's the first time CRHA has had to market units. Like, we have units now at South First Street that don't have subsidy attached to them. And so we can't just go to a wait list and pull folks off a wait list and say, hey, we have a beautiful unit ready for you. We actually have to market these units. And the crime that's happening in the units or at the site is causing a big issue with that. And so that's also part of why this has to be addressed. The next phase will not have any non-subsidized units, and we aren't building any in phase 1 of of 6th Street. And so we won't see that probably again until West Haven. But the unsubsidized units are a challenge because you're competing against with every other unit in the market. And so if you have a site that is crime-free or a lot less crime, then we are not going to win out with that, even though we're giving them a brand new unit, including all the utilities, including internet. We just will not win. And Tarana and her team have been trying to rent some of these units. They've been empty 3 to 4 months and have been ready. So they have been turned, clean, ready for someone to move in. But they have no subsidy, and so we are looking for anyone on the market that's looking for a rentable unit for those. Rentable unit for those, and I think we have 6 of them.
Okay. All right. HCD program update.
Looks like I'll be doing that one.
You could just keep going through with the executive director updates after that.
I'll just slide on through. Don't have a lot of big changes here. I will say the SysRep number, TC and I talked about this one earlier today. The SysRep number will improve, I think this month already we paid out $71,000. So we're going to grow that program to about 75 participants because that's what the program can hold. We do still currently have some vouchers with EHV. I believe those have been rendered by now though because they have a sunset. And so the EHV program was created around COVID. And so they had a sunset of 5 years unless the person moved out, and then they would sunset at that point. And so we've sunsetted 3 of those already. VASH, we have 2 that are on the street looking. Fostering youth, looks like we have a total of 10. In ports, we have 11. We're not currently absorbing, and so we're currently billing housing authorities. We currently have a decent backlog of housing authorities that owe CRHA. One of the housing authorities is a close neighbor to ours, and so we're working through those to get those housing authorities to pay us back for those vouchers. We're not currently projecting a shortfall, but that can change, and so we're keeping an eye on that number and making sure we're running. We found some new reports in Yardi that let us better analyze each section of the voucher management system, which is what we report on each month. And so we've been able to drill down a little bit more on our forecasting as well based upon that and looking at the actual per cost for the vouchers, which will allow us to better project our spending levels. We do have vouchers on the street. It's 8 of them, but we have not pulled from the wait list. Those are folks that are looking or they're in a special voucher program. And that's all I have for the voucher program.
A kind of random question, but obviously the wait list is, 1,700 for housing choice vouchers. The crossings wait list is 1,221 participants. What's going on to make that wait list so large?
So
I
the
just
crossings-
wouldn't have predicted that.
The crossing is still open. The wait list is still
Okay,
open.
okay,
So they're constantly
okay.
accepting people. And so that list is growing.
Is that just like a legal requirement they have to keep it open?
No,
or-
it's their choice. In fact, HUD's recommendation is once you got 3 times what you can hold, you should close it. Because you're giving people false hope in
Right.
a lot of cases. And also, depending on like your preference system and your scoring system, you could have somebody that stays on the wait list forever because you continue to add people and it continues to bump them down based upon scoring, which is kind of sort of how we got to at one point, where you had folks who had been on the list for a very long time, but you kept your wait list open and they came in with very high preference points, so they automatically went to the top, even though they just applied yesterday compared to a person who applied 10 years ago. So that can be a con.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for HCV? Okay, and I will be pretty quick. So we are closing out our HCV program for the year. So our CMAP is due, so we'll be finalizing that. I think we're going to score pretty good. At least a standard performer. We're shooting for a high, but at least a standard performer for the HCV programs we're currently projecting. Our FDS is also due. It's due by the 15th of June. That's the date without being penalized, but it's actually due at the end of this month. And so our team is planning to have it completed on Friday. And so we're expecting good numbers there as well. We have been doing really good with our FDS the last few years. That has been where we have scored the highest financially. And so we expect that to continue this year. We also have a meeting, the city council meeting on June 2nd. We're going to do a presentation on the city housing portfolio. And so we have in our agreement every year that we report to the city council on its financials, how it's performing budget, any other recommendations for operations or for the development and changes. We are working on the repositioning of that portfolio. I do not have a determined end date for that yet, but within the next couple of years, our goal is to submit for a 4% tax credit deal to renovate the units and also pay back the city its investment in the portfolio. And so that we may go into a little bit at that meeting, but it's still a lot that needs to be flushed out before we can really say that's the direction we're going, because we've looked at a couple of different options, including separating out some properties and doing individual development deals with private developers on their land lease option. And so that will go in front of council on June 2nd. On the 13th, on the 12th, I'm sorry, on June 12th at the work session, we're going to do the eviction diversion program at the beginning, and then the second part of that, we'll be working on that joint meeting with city council, going over some of the talking points so then we can give you a better presented version of that for the meeting on July 10th at that work session. So if there's any topics that you all want us to focus on or do some research for that meeting, please let me know. Also, we had the SOP. I didn't get any, I talked to Javier about that last week. I didn't get any other comments about the SOP, so I'm thinking we're good on that.
Yeah, what's going on mine? Did any of the other colleagues have any comments? So,
No, I thought it looked really good. Thank you.
All right, so we're all good on that. And since I think we've tasked ourselves with going after these organizational changes, the next one that we're going to be working on is a better file management system overall for the organization. We have stuff everywhere because we've had to move so many times. I have a Conex box at a maintenance shop. We have a storage facility that we've been renting forever. And so we need to better manage and know where all of our files are. And as we keep moving, we need to make sure that the files are being moved and properly organized. And so
Do you have to keep them in paper?
we do have to keep them in paper,
Oh,
unfortunately.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, some of them we have like 10-year requirements, and so it's not easy, and there's a lot of paper. And we have over 600 residents in the voucher program, another 400 in our housing programs, and then every vendor has a file for every year.
Wow.
And so it's a lot of paper.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so we need to better manage that. And so we'll be putting out a RFP to bring on a firm to help us organize that, and then IT will take it over from that point on. But we'll be doing these like at least every 6 months, tackling one asset. Has just, we all know it's a goal, but it's just been eluding us because so much other stuff going on. Anything else? I do not believe I have anything else. Do you guys have anything for me?
So the joy meeting is June 2nd, you said?
No.
No, that's the council
That's the city
meeting.
council meeting.
Oh, okay.
The joint meeting is until October, right?
August.
It's August. It's
Thank you,
August.
sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, we're doing a planning meeting.
We're going to do a planning meeting in June, so it's going to be June 12th will be our first stab at that, and it's going to be after the eviction diversion presentation, and then the final go around for that will be July 10th for
think-
the planning of the joint meeting in August.
I think it may also behoove us, if there's any appetite, I know summer's a hectic time, but we may want to have a small retreat of sorts for us to kind of have some goal setting for the next fiscal year, which starts July 1. I think that would behoove all of us if there's an appetite for such. We don't necessarily have to figure it out today, but I do think that, well, we may need to. It would, in my opinion, it may be a good idea for us to meet and have, again, like our goals as a board together and kind of have our own retreat prior to us meeting with council in August. I'm thinking, something for an hour or two at City Space as we've done before. If there's an appetite for such, again, I know timing is maybe tough and I'm bringing this up in May, but.
Well, to bounce off of the chair's idea, maybe us looking at that strategic plan we did last year,
Mhm.
kind of using it as a way to say, hey, have we made progress on that, or reorient ourselves? And that
Yeah.
might allow us to do that hour or two, because we
Yeah.
already got the material in front of us. It's just
Yeah.
going over
That's
it.
a good idea.
I think that's a really good idea. So if I were meeting, our first one is July 12th, you said? I mean, June 12th, excuse me?
Yep.
So we have a meeting June 12th. I need to give more time than that.
Yeah, of course. I definitely need more time than that.
So, yeah, if it can be within maybe the,
I'm thinking like
second-
July.
the third week of June, between the second week of July and between that time frame, that gives us enough time to get everything for you guys to talk about for the strategic plan, like where we are for each of the goals, progress points, because we've already done a lot of that updating, but to make sure we have addressed all of them. If you could give us shoot for something between the third week of June and the second week of July.
I was literally going to ask folks about the morning of July 12th, Saturday, July 12th, if we could, I don't know, 9 to 11 or 10 to noon. I'm talking, I haven't looked at my calendar.
That's okay with me. That's
Yeah,
far enough
that's
out.
actually okay with me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
What time did you say, Wes?
9 to 11 work for you all? 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
You probably just got me out of a long run, so thanks.
No, it's gonna be
And this is on
Be too
June
hot.
12th?
We start at
July 12th.
July 12th, yes.
July
Excuse me.
12th, okay.
Okay.
Is there a specific location, city space?
You
or
all wanna do
y'all
city
wanna do this
space?
on
That's
site?
fine.
I think that'd be
City space?
Will
easiest.
there be
Miss Carey isn't here.
Blessed eggs, is that what you're asking for?
Right, thank you for the proper,
Disaster. They
for the blessed
They
eggs.
taste fine, but they looked like
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes they look
just
bad.
they looked so bad.
They look
Maybe-
runny.
Yeah,
No, they just.
we're not even gonna go there, we're not even gonna go there. Miss Carey, I see her on the, online,
Yeah,
if we
just
could
tell
task her with getting us some breakfast.
Okay, do you all have any specifics that you would prefer?
Commissioner Wicks is adamant about blessed eggs, so
So breakfast
Oh.
with blessed eggs.
breakfast with blessed eggs.
Oh, okay.
Hey, her
I
wishes,
always want the blessed.
her wishes are command. Thank you, colleagues. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, seems great.
Sounds like a
Where I
plan.
put it on my calendar, but.
Thank you. So that's it for me. Oh, Commissioner Wicks. I didn't know.
What? I'm trying to find where I put it. Okay.
I think that was all for us. Mr. Sells, if you had something else.
Any additional comments? One random public comment from me. The city is doing a teen event on Saturday,
Nice.
roller skating at Carver at 3 p.m. If you know any teens that might like to come roller skate, it is free. There'll be free food, so.
Be fun. And Tonsor League starts this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Games will be starting at 6 p.m. at Tonsor Park on Saturday, 5 p.m. on Sunday, and then we'll move to the traditional Thursday and Sunday schedule. Somebody here is really excited. But yes, everybody, please come out. We have a few of our residents participating and playing this year, so looking forward to it.
Did you say free food, Wes?
I did not say.
I did.
Yeah.
I said free food. You got to roller skate for free food, John.
There's no free food.
Wes is giving up food at Tonsor League.
For those, there will be free food for those who are 12 and under. There'll be free hot dogs and hamburgers. Hot dogs, hamburgers, and chips for those 12 and under. Mr. Sells, I do not think that you qualify, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I can send some 12-year-olds, 12 and under.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Okay. That was all I had, Madam Chair, for announcements.
All right. What's next, Stokely? Hold on. Okay. If no one has anything else, that concludes our agenda for this evening.
Oh, wait, I think we have to do public, do we have to do public?
Oh, I
comment
see.
again?
Oh.
There's
What-
one more.
Are there any other public comments?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Amy? All right.
That concludes our agenda for this evening. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded?
Can I get a call, Miss Carey?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have
Thank
a great
you.
evening.
Good night.
We got the game. It starts
Oh.
in 10 minutes.
Ooh.
Bye, Stoke. Good to see you.
We play in the league next door, so the game's at 7, so it's perfect time.
Well done.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Remember to write this down on my phone.
Wes.
Maya has 2 jobs for summer, so I'm trying to figure out.
How available is Maya for babies?